As we're in the season in the cycle, we had a crasher come at a post interview.
Hmm.
The MAGA folks and the MAGA elites and however you want to call them, the cult like following of MAGA. Nick Bosa showing off his colors in this post interview.
And we're not talking about the Niner colors.
Okay, let's pause that. All right, now you can't really see it that well, but it is a MAGA hat, Make America Great Again hat, showing off his political affiliation and endorsing Donald Trump for presidency, for the next president of the United States. I know we've had our conversations behind with politics and all that. To me, at this point, I'm kind of like it's on my feed, it's on commercials. You know what I mean? It's in our conversations. Like I'm just like getting like tired of it. I don't dig too deep into it. Even this is probably the first time I've ever dug this deep into it. But with that being said, what do you think of the backlash that Bosa is getting, and what do you feel about Bosa making his endorsement known in that way and kind of really hiding away from questions that come after that?
I'll give it to you like this. Listen, there's nothing new with Bosa and the MAGA. We know that's how he was like that in 2016. We know his uh, flavor when he was in Ohio State. So we know this is who he is. My problem is this, because I saw this live. I just felt like it was just disrespectful on many levels because you don't know anything about these people that's being interviewed right now, as far as maybe you do because they were teammates, their political views, but you don't know if they want that to be represented behind them. And you come up here and crash their party amongst, I think it was three other players in this interview to try to take over this situation by explaining who you represent. And then the second part of it is that, well, you made a point to go on national television to put your hat on, but then you had the opportunity to explain it and explain yourself. And you decide, and I quote, and let me just go to the quote really quickly. I don't want to misquote the man. You get to the podium after you wanted to advertise MAGA, which is your right, but not in that situation. Um, I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I think it's important time. But you were asked a question about what made you do that, and now you're going to backpedal. So for me, it's
He can
cowardly.
back up, he bitched up.
Yeah, it's cowardly. If you're going to do it, stand on it. But one, you need to apologize to your teammates because that moment was disrespectful. If you want to be who you want to be. I'm sure you got MAGA shit in your locker rooms. I'm sure everybody in the locker knows who you are. My only question, the first thing I saw was to the homie uh, group chat was I just wonder because there's a lot of different cultures inside of a locker room. Obviously, everybody comes together as
Mhm.
one to play a game, but you don't gotta like everybody in your locker room. I may not be your friend at all. I may not hang out with you. We may not talk after this. We may come here, come together, do our job, be good at our job, and then go on about
Mhm.
our business. But I wonder when you see that and it's kind of getting spewed in your face because unfortunately it's not necessarily just a political representation. MAGA has become more of um, a vile
It's a
rep-
movement.
representation of a lot of negativity in ways of people that aren't like them. Um, so I think in that way, when you're looking at it and bring that into a locker room, if your teammate is not a representation of that, and you're walking around and spewing that, what kind of respect do you have for him? So you're ultimately choosing this over your you know what I mean? Like you're choosing your allegiance to this representation of MAGA than even your teammates to respect them and say, "Hey, hey, bro. I mean, I'm cool. I'm cool with you and who you gonna do, but don't throw that shit in my face, bro." You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of that stuff represents a lot of things that I'm not for. A lot of that stuff represents and been said that I'm trash. I'm garbage. I'm this. I'm that. Like that's what you're bringing into the locker room, and I know you're better than that. So it's a lot deeper when it comes down to the locker room. So that's just a couple things I want to say about it. Nick, God bless you, man. You do what you're gonna do, no matter what anybody said. You're gonna continue to do what you're gonna do. You're gonna be you. Your mom came in and tweeted and stood right by your side. So it's a family thing. So I just would like you to be a little bit more conscious, right? Because once again, you crashing somebody else's opportunity. Nobody knows Brock Purdy's a MAGA person. Nobody knows Brock Purdy's voting for Trump, or if he's a independent, or if he's voting for Kamala Harris. Like you interrupt that. Like you put yourself into his moment and other guys' moments, and then you want to go backtrack when you had your opportunity to express yourself. That's cowardly. That's some suck ass shit
Mm.
to me. But maybe that's the representation of what MAG is about.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you said. I think the one thing that I want to add to it is that we know there's two things that really bring people together, and that's sports and music.
Mm,
And I think that in that locker room, there's a unwritten brotherhood. Even now, we being us being ex football players, if you ever seen your ex, teammate, whether it was a scrub on the bench or a starter or a captain, I would generally think that most people would show love, right? It's an unwritten rule, an unwritten brotherhood when it becomes in terms of sports. When you hit the field together, you bleed together, you sweat together, you go to war together. It's just unwritten, it's just brothers in arms, just like army. It's just there's something about it.
right.
So I think that when he walks back in that locker room after people absorb that and take that, um, I think they try to separate it and just keep the Nick Bosa MAGA part of him separated from the Nick Bosa teammate of him. Um, whether some people can do that or not, I don't know. Um, but it is an interesting thing to think about, right? Like especially if, like I said, once you get into the politics, the emotions can get really high, and if you don't have a high level mindset or an intelligent emotional brain or have emotional intelligence,
Mm,
then you can find yourself get lost in the back and forth of those conversations,
yeah.
and that's when things go south with friendships, with brotherhoods, things like that. So, you know, I think it was we talked. I think you have mentioned in the background a little bit about how this is getting compared to like the Colin Kaepernick situations, and
Yeah.
I think that is a bad comparison, and I think that is downgrading what Kaepernick stand for. This is nothing on that level. Absolutely nothing on that level, in my opinion. And I think it's a fact. I don't think it's an opinion, it's a fact. Like him coming up showing a MAGA hat is not on the same political opinion of what Colin Kaepernick was representing. Not only did he sacrifice his career,
Mm,
possibly sacrifice his life, but he is one of the most influential athletes to ever put on pads, in my opinion.
mm,
Right? He's up there with the Jim Browns and the people who've made considerable changes for black folks. I started sitting for the national anthem because of Colin Kaepernick.
mm,
You know what I mean? That's how he personally impacted me, whether
right.
you like it or not. Right? That's how that impacted me and people around me as well. To
Right.
really take a step back and really look deep about what we're seeing and to put that in comparison to this,
Yeah.
like I just it's such a disrespect to what everything Kaepernick has done to me.